What actually is whiskey?
If the name of the country has E in it, the whiskey has E in it.
It's like a Rubik's Cube solution for me. Hey everyone, I am Kriti.
And I'm Swati.
And today we're going to talk all about Scotch whiskey. So to start off, basically, Swati, could you tell me what actually is whiskey and how is it made?
So if we go by the definition, whiskey is essentially a distilled spirit made out of grain mash. And when we're talking about grain, it can be barley, it can be corn, it can be rye, it can be wheat. And then it is distilled and matured in oak barrels to develop its unique flavors.
Sounds quite complex though.
It's not so complex essentially, but yes, there is a lot of art and science behind making a whiskey.
So I've heard quite a bit that whiskey with an EY and whiskey with a Y.
Countries like Scotland, India, Canada, Japan all spell their whiskey without an E, and Ireland and the USA have it with an E. So for someone to remember easily, if the name of the country has E in it, the whiskey has E in it.
That's quite an interesting fact to know, honestly. It's so cool. So is the Scotch whiskey making process similar to any other whiskey or is it a bit different?
See, scientifically and theoretically, whiskey making is the same. But Scotch whiskey is a very, very regulated industry. There are very specific regulations when it comes to making of Scotch whiskey. The first rule is that it has to be fermented, distilled, matured in Scotland for it to be called Scotch whiskey. And not only just matured, it has to be matured for a minimum of 3 years in oak barrels, right? And if for it to be called a single malt Scotch whiskey, it has to be made only from 100% malted barley.
Right.
It has to be bottled at an ABV of 40%. So these are some of the common regulations, but there are a whole host of regulations which have to be followed while you're making Scotch whiskey.
Right. So Scotch whiskey also has its own types, right?
Yes.
If I'm correct.
Yes.
Could you tell me a bit about these types?
So Scotch whiskey has essentially 5 different types of whiskeys.
Okay.
The first one that I spoke about is single malt whiskey,
Right.
which means it has to be made with 100% malted barley.
Right.
It has to be distilled in only and only copper pot stills, and it has to be matured for a minimum of 3 years in oak barrels.
Okay.
It has to come only from one distillery.
Right.
Next, we have the single grain whiskey. Everything else remains the same, except instead of malted barley, it is made with grain, and now it could be any kind of grain.
Got it.
Again, it has to come from single distillery. Third, we have the blended malt, which means malted whiskey of different distilleries is blended together to make a blended malt.
Got it.
And we have the blended grain whiskey, which means different grain whiskeys from different distilleries are blended together to form the blended grain whiskey. And last, which actually is the largest selling type of Scotch whiskey in the world, in fact 90% of the Scotch whiskey is blended Scotch whiskey, where your brands like Johnny Walker, Shivers and Ballantine's all fall. Blended Scotch essentially is made of different malt spirits and grain spirits from across different distilleries. So those are essentially the 5 types of Scotch whiskies.
To understand this honestly is like a Rubik's Cube solution for me. It's a bit tough to get a hold of right now. But Scotch whiskies also come from different regions.
Yes.
And what are these regions?
So again, there are 5 big regions in Scotland. Speyside has the highest density of distilleries.
Right.
Now there are close to about 150 distilleries in Scotland, and almost half of them are in Speyside. Speyside is where some of the most well-known brands come from. Glenfiddich, Glenlivet, Macallan, all of these come from Speyside. The next region is Highlands. Highlands is geographically the biggest region. It also includes some of the islands. So earlier, islands and Highlands used to be different regions, but then over a period of time, they've been merged together. So again, some of the popular brands from Highlands are, there's Glenmorangie, you have the Dalmore, Talisker, Oban, all of these come from the Highlands. And then we have Lowlands. Lowlands again is a fairly small region.
Right.
You have Glenkinchie, which is in the Diageo's portfolio, that comes from Lowlands. Glenkinchie is also one of the homes of Johnny Walker. So in every Johnny Walker, there's a little bit of malt spirit from Glenkinchie. Auchentoshan is there. And then we of course have Islay. Islay in itself is a cult because it is known for its peated whiskies. As much as it also makes a lot of very good unpeated whiskies, but Islay obviously claim to fame was peated whiskies. Ardbeg, Lefroy, Bowmore,
Right.
all of these distilleries are based in Islay. Then we have the Campbelltown, which is home to Springbank. So these are the 5 regions. Obviously, each region, when it was classified or defined, there were distinct flavors that people used to
Right.
associate with each of
The
the
regions that were
each of
there,
the
yeah.
regions, and there was a certain style of whiskey making that people in those regions used to follow. Like Islay is still known for peated whiskies, even
Yeah.
though it does unpeated whiskies, right? But what has happened is, over a period of time, with so much of experimentation happening with casks, with so much of experimentation happening with finishes, the geographical distinctions have kind of phased out, or
Yeah.
they are
Blurry
not
lines.
as they are, blurry is actually the right word. They are not as distinct
Right.
as they were earlier. So, for example, you still get peated whiskies coming from Speyside. Balvenie does peated
Yeah.
whiskies. There's Highland Park in Highlands, which does peated whiskies. There's Brooklady in Islay, which does unpeated whiskies. So I'm saying all of these, again, everyone's experimenting with new things, trying to cater to a different kind of audience. There are certain distilleries which are still sticking to the style of whiskies that
Yeah.
they've been making for centuries, like the Macallan or Dalmore. You know, they're very particular. They will only use sherry casks. They will only use very dense spirit and dense
Yeah.
liquid to make whiskies. But these geographical indications in today's age, with the kind of whiskies that we're seeing coming out from Scotland, don't really have much of a standing, so to say.
Right. So for me, I mean, I'm someone who's just gotten into drinking whiskey. So I won't say I'm very well versed with the whole verbiage of whiskey.
Right.
But could you tell me what is the best way to enjoy a Scotch whiskey?
So, I will tell you something that I always talk about at my tastings also. Any drink, whether it's a gin or a whiskey or tequila or rum, you should have it the way you feel like having it at that particular day. You know, it is possible that I had a long day at work and I'm very tired, but it is very hot and I don't want to just have a whiskey. I might make a cocktail out of it and have it and stuff. But what is really important is to always have the spirit meet at least once,
Right.
to understand what the base flavors are, even if you want to make a cocktail out of it, or even if you want to add a little bit of water to it or add a little bit of soda to
Right.
it. You need to know how much to do so that you don't kill the flavor of
Exactly how much it tastes, basically, what
Yeah,
the flavor profile
exactly.
is.
Anyone who asks me this question, I always say that you are free to add Coke to your whiskey if you want to, but it takes so much of time to put this liquid in a bottle.
Right.
So just for once, appreciate it on its own,
Right.
right? And yes, 40% alcohol or 43% or whatever is not something that the human tongue is used to, and it may not necessarily be palatable. So recently, during my last Scotland trip, I discovered this sap water from Highland. It's called
Oh, okay.
Birkentree. It is not technically a water, it is sap from the tree. They harvest the sap from it only once in a year. The difference between diluting your whiskey with this versus water is that this, while it calms down the whiskey, it will reduce the alcohol burn,
Right.
it will make it a little bit more mellow and palatable. It doesn't really change the texture of the
Texture.
whiskey.
Got it.
With water, it tends to just become more thin, for
Yeah.
the lack of a better word.
I know what you're trying to say.
It becomes more liquidy.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen with this. So the texture's intact, the flavors opened up. So lately, that's been my favorite way of having a whiskey. But I do like a good old fashioned on some days, a good penicillin on some
Yeah.
days, and even a whiskey highball. Like India is such a hot country. Whiskey,
Anything works, basically. at
whiskey
one
on
point.
ice and soda is a lot of people's go-to for
Yeah,
obvious
yeah.
reasons, right? So yeah, have your whiskey the way you like it, but appreciate what's in the bottle. At least taste it once before you decide to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
with
I mean, I won't lie. I have had whiskey with Coke just to start off with, how
Right.
to understand the flavors. But worst decision ever. After I've tasted with water, I've actually
Right.
understood. Okay, it's actually a good and a much more better experience to have it with water. So, Swati, what are the top 5 Scotch whiskies you recommend to someone who's just getting into the whole whiskey realm?
But yeah, I think for someone who's just starting with whiskies, I would say a Glenlivet 15 is a very good pick. It's a very mild whiskey on the palate. It's widely available. It's reasonable,
Right.
reasonably priced. So I think that works really well. That's one of my personal all-time favorites, I would say. Then if someone who really likes big, bold flavors, who loves peated whiskies, I think Ardbeg 10 is a very good choice.
Right.
The third one I would really urge people to try, and if you can get your hands on it, is the Johnnie Walker Green Label. It is not as easily available now that it used to be. I think in the Johnnie Walker range, it's a great whiskey. Can be had neat, can be made into a good cocktail. So I think that's another good whiskey to try. Not easy to get, but Springbank 10. It's slightly peated. Again, very well balanced, lightly peated, a wonderful whiskey. And I think last is a whiskey that has been like my personal favorites, I have to say. It's the Lagavulin 16. For anyone who's already maybe started their whiskey journey, I think this should be the whiskey you should try. It's extremely complex, but at the same time, it is extremely easy to have. It's got peated whiskey, matured in sherry casks, and I don't think there is any whiskey which comes close to the kind of balance that Lagavulin 16 gives for those two heavily polarizing flavors.
Right.
So yeah, again comes from Islay, from the house of Diageo.
Okay.
So yeah, I think those are my top 5 whiskies.
But Laga what?
It's called Lagavulin 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So with that, we come to the end of this video, which was about all things Scotch whiskey. If you want us to talk about any particular style of whiskey or spirit, let us know in the comments below. And do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Enjoy responsibly. Cheers.
Cheers.